So here we are, things were said, mistakes were made, and I should have been at home unwell at the beginning of last week, and instead I decided to try and work on and screw things up. So I've got holes here, as you can see, and holes there. The holes were going in everywhere, and I should have just stopped and retired hurt, but like a fool I carried on working. So I thought I'd take a quick look at a technique I used to fill these. I've done this in the past, I think, but I think it was just mostly on Instagram and it's lost somewhere in the archives. So don't use welding equipment, I'm just filling them up with some rivets. So I'm doing it on my camera phone, which is why I'm holding it with my hand. So let's take a look. The first thing I do is countersink both sides of the holes that I don't want with a drill bit that is at least a couple of mil larger, but normally about double the diameter of the holes is what I tend to like. So we'll get those countersunken and take a look. Alright, so they're countersunk. It's tricky to see in this light exactly what I've done. There you go, just about. But basically a countersink is if this is the metal and the hole that I need to fill in cross sections, this is material. What a countersink is you take a drill bit that's much bigger than the hole, put it in, and you take away that material. Now, I've done it on both sides. Now I've not done my drawing very well because you don't want to take it to a point like my drawing does there, look. But you want it more, that'd be a much bit better to scale, which is what I've done on the actual metalwork, just my drawing isn't quite up to standard. So what this enables you to do is when you put the rivet in a little bit and we squash it down, the rivet material will hopefully fill that entire space. And then when we clean it back by taking that across there, it's got plenty of material gripping it and you'll fill the space nicely. So I've countersunk and now I'll get the rivet in. For the rivet, just use a standard steel rivet. I think it's got some sort of black oxide on it to keep it from rusting. Ooh. Push it through if it will go. Oh yes, fine. This is the joys of one-handed filming. I thought I won't bring anything in with me today, so I'm not going to do a film. Now you can see there that I've got too much material proud out of that, so I'll trim that back about 2 mil flush of the surface with the side cutters. All cut, you can see it there, look, just proud. So what I'll do is get that on a surface that supports it. Don't need a snap tool or anything, so I tend to use this stake here. We'll get that across and we'll get that rivet as evenly distributed over that countersink as I can. Certainly need some better lighting in there, but there we go. So what I've done is push that across. The camera will fetch it. There we go. And a lot of Armour, that's all they did. Just leave it like that. But I'll dress that back. As you can see, I'm just starting to clean this up. So I'll dress that back as part of the cleaning up process, and it should be almost invisible. On the inside, at the moment, there you go, it's just the rivet head. But I'll clean that back as well because I don't want it interfering with the movement. I'm not too fussed about actually making it invisible on that side. I'll just clean it back so it's got enough material to grip it there but not fall through. So there you go, a cautionary tale of working when you should just be at home convalescing, but not impossible to get back from. So anyway, I realised that I was sort of signing off from that video and not showing how I finish it off. So if you look at the polishing videos, I'll stick a link below and probably up in the top corner up here somewhere. I can get something to appear shortly. I've done a couple of videos just recently on polishing, and all I've done is doing a light 80 grit pass, and you can see it's pretty much gone already. Just on the left hand side there's a dip in the metalwork, so I'll give it a few taps on the reverse just to try and lift that out rather than fetch it all back with the grinder. You probably could with the grinder, but it would just leave it thin and it will crack and be visible later. So we'll do that with the hammer. But that's just the 80 grit that I do on the grinder. And once I finish polishing and cleaning up the whole thing, I'll move on to the next 80 grit pass, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. And we'll go through each step that are in the polishing videos. and they should be all but invisible by the end of it, hopefully. So yeah, on to the next bit. So that's 80 grit flap disc. Let's come over here. There you go. That's 80 grit with my flat disc. The flexible one I'll show in the video from before, which I'll put a link to. Just done the 80 grit with the flap wheel rather than the flap disc on the grinder. That's the beast there. So we just did that, taking it back a bit more gently, and you can see now you've really got to try and catch the light to see them. I'm happy if it's just like that, to be honest, but with a bit of a polish, when we get to the polishing compounds, those will probably pretty much all but disappear. You can't feel it with your hand. On the inside it's still the same, and I'll just fetch those back by hand with a file. But there you go. You can see it's pretty easy to get rid of these holes. Probably a bit quicker actually, to be honest, than using welding equipment. At least I find it is, but I'm not a very good welder. So there you go. Now I'll close the video off. You can see just with the polish it'll all be there. I'll try and stick a photo on the end if I remember to take it, but pretty straightforward. Just countersink, stick a rivet in there, make sure the rivet goes over the edge of the countersink, and then fetch it back in the polishing process, and you filled the holes using a fairly historic technique.